Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and Pokemon Z version has been announced. Well, kind of. Pokemon Tretta Z version has been announced, and it actually includes Zygarde's complete form and a lot of really other crazy stuff. I mean, boom, right there. That's Zygarde complete form fighting a Hoopa, and this is the trailer from the official Pokemon company's website in Japan, and we can just see that, legendaries are involved. Really crisp graphics, I gotta say. This looks really nice, and just a lot of crazy stuff. And right here, we get a lot of really good Zygarde stuff too, as well. We just have, boom, all the little parts of the core and everything rushing into Zygarde to, wait a second, hold up. We gotta go back just a second. I just noticed something I didn't notice before. We have all these little parts of Zygarde rushing in, and we even see like these red hexagon parts, so we have multiple cores, potentially, and all sorts of crazy things rushing into Zygarde, and we're getting Zygarde's complete form. It's just a lot of Pokemon Tretta stuff overall. Like look at that, there's Arceus. So, I don't know what Pokemon Tretta is exactly. Like, the most I know about it is that it is an arcade game in Japan, and there's like collectible Pogs and stuff, and you have like a capture or battle option, and then you get to capture all the Pokemon. You can just get legendaries and stuff, so that's pretty cool. And if we just skip around, we can see there's a lot of footage for this one, and it's mostly about getting that Zygarde and having the complete form as a canon thing in game. So that's pretty intense. Now, what I do have to say about this though is, what does that mean for Pokemon Z version as we go out to Pokemon Tretta Z? Is this where Game Freak trolls us? Is this what we're actually getting? Because if we look at Pokemon Tretta, I have a couple of sources right here. See, on the Google image search, we have all kinds of Pokemon Tretta stuff. You buy like packs and then you go and play it at the arcade, I guess, but we don't have it in America, so I don't really know the impact, how well it's doing, or anything like that. However, if we'd go and look at the Bulbapedia article, if we notice, Pokemon Tretta has been out for quite some time. This isn't a new thing out of nowhere. Pokemon Tretta has been around since 2012, I think, and it's had many different versions. We have Pokemon Tretta Fest, the Pokemon Tretta, and Pokemon Tretta Ultimate. If you've noticed, there are no overlaps. There's no Tretta Blue version, no Tretta X and Y version, so why would there be a Z version? Is this actually all that we're going to get for Pokemon Z version? That's really what this is starting to look like. We have the anime going X, Y, and Z. We have other sources for the Zygarde lore coming through, that if we, look at the video, the biggest problem with Kalos and X and Y and trying to come up with a Pokemon Z version is we don't know anything about Zygarde, but between the anime and getting some form of access and watching it actually work as Zygarde's complete form and seeing how it battles and things like that, this might be our Pokemon Z version. Either in a trolley way or just Game Freak not wanting to go for a direct sequel. Masuda did say in an interview that he wanted the sequel to be different, which is why we got Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, but now that means we might be on the way to 7th generation for 2016. But Pokemon Z version, you guys asked, and you got it, and I don't know what to think of it. It is Pokemon Z, and we get all sorts of Zygarde information, we get all sorts of Zygarde gameplay, but then it's just the weirdest way of doing it with Pokemon Tretta, something we're not going to see in America unless they want to bring that over just like Pokken Tournament, but I don't know how it's going to be. Interesting, Pokemon also released a new video with like full information on Pokemon Tretta Z. Again, I don't really understand anything that's going on because I haven't played it before, and it really just looks like a lot of high intensity battle sequences, like a lot of crazy stuff is going on. It looks like they really want to promote it. This is a long video and they were going really, I guess, in depth on the mechanics and stuff. It looks like a really intriguing game. I want to see some Western adaptation for this, honestly. It looks pretty sweet, but I don't really know what else to say about it. Like, we have Pokemon Z version kind of that might either confirm or deny Pokemon Z version more with Mega Zygarde, and that's kind of all that there is to this. And yeah, we get legendaries and just gameplay about Pokemon Tretta. Cool. I honestly don't know what to make of this. After thinking about it, it feels like it makes it as likely to get Z and as unlikely to get Z, because when you think about this is a lot of resources. A lot is going into Zygarde and all of its things. We're having Pokemon X, Y, and Z in the anime. It's getting its own chapter. We have all these adaptations of the game. We have some of the most in-depth story for a legendary, I think, ever when it comes to Pokemon when you think about it. That there's cores, there's multiple branches of how this Pokemon adapts, and then forms, and 50%, 10%, 100%. That thing, like, there's more to Zygarde than any other individual Pokemon, but what does that mean for the actual series? Does that mean we're going to get it throughout the year and we don't need a game to understand everything about Zygarde? That between this, the anime, all the other lore, everything else that's going to get leaked in, we don't need Zygarde complete directly in the game like this? and that means we're not getting Z version, or does that mean we're going to have to get a Pokemon Z version or Pokemon X, Y, and Z? I think that after the anime, Pokemon X, Y, and Z seems a bit more plausible, just as a name, not as an idea. But then what does that mean? How are we going to get more out of this? And then when we play through it, but it does make it pretty plausible that we're going to play through it and get a lot more information on Zygarde. But then that leaves us with a problem. That if we say we get Pokemon Z version this time next year, so around November next year, and then we have to wait another year, does this content have none? Is there enough of this content to last 2 years is the question. I think that could be a long time, or is Pokemon going to mix it up? Is this going to be a late spring release and then we get a winter release for the 7th generation, or an early or late or an early spring next year or something like that? That way we're only going like a year and a half for 2 Pokemon games instead of 2 years for 2 Pokemon games. Kind of get that extra Z version in there, go into the 7th generation, but not make it feel like it's overstaying its welcome. Because right now, you know, we go into 7th generation next year, it feels rushed, but if we go into 7th generation 2 years, it feels like we're dragging out Kalos, which didn't have a lot to begin with, off of just this Zygarde story. And if you like it, that's good, but if you're not a fan of Zygarde, then that's going to be really troubling for you for the next potential year or so. It's a lot of really weird stuff to have to break down. So what do you guys think in the comments? Does this mean that this is our Pokemon Z replacement, that there's other sources? Does this more confirm Pokemon Z because now we're getting so much information? It has to have a game. A lot of things going on with Pokemon, so if you guys enjoyed the video, crazy news, and I hope you all have a nice day. Thank you for watching.